Right, we are live. We should be live, and we are back with season 2, episode 3 of the DM Live Health Show. Gents, if you are listening live, if you're catching the replay, so to speak, I'm joined again by my good friend Peter from PK Fitness, and we're going to be talking today all about alcohol and your body. And listen, I know a lot of you guys who follow my stuff are extremely busy dads, and you don't have much time on your hands, so this is an important topic. And you might not have time to listen to it because you're so busy. So here's what I'm going to suggest. Do what I do when I'm listening to podcasts or tuning into things that I want to take some information from and practice and apply into my life. Listen whilst you're doing the mundane, everyday tasks that you hate doing. I love to hit play when I start washing the dishes, or I put the earphones in, put the phone in the back pocket when I'm sweeping up and stuff around the house. Or if you are on a daily commute, hit play before you start driving, stick the phone away, and then listen to this episode. We've got some cool stuff to talk about. Myself and Peter, personal experiences with alcohol, the changes that we have made, why we've made them, how difficult they've been to make, how long they've took to make, and the results that we've seen personally. And also as coaches, I think we might have somewhere between 15 plus years between us coaching clients. And when you've been coaching the time that we have, you tend to pick up on patterns, and some of the big obstacles that people have. Alcohol is often one of them. So we're going to talk about some of the things that, the reasons why alcohol is such a big challenge and how it could stop you achieving your goals. Some of the expectations, the things that you can expect to achieve with alcohol in your life in varying degrees. And also, we'd like to end it on a light-hearted note, because we don't really believe that you have to eliminate something like alcohol out of your life. Obviously, if that's something you do want to do, fantastic. But we're going to finish on our opinions on being healthy with alcohol in your life and making progress and achieving your goals. Sound good to you, Peter?
Sounds great.
Sweet. So, Peter, I'm pretty sure that you'll share some of your own experiences, like working with clients. But for me, often this can be like the big elephant in the room. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that I can help a client improve on in training, getting more consistent with training, getting progressively stronger, improving their performance and improving their nutritional habits and eating behaviors. But quite a lot of the time, like, this can be the one thing. Like, if they address this, like, so much progress would happen. And often, and I do see it with clients who do listen to what I have to say, take on board, and they go, you know what, I'm going to make these changes. And after quite a while of being stuck, like, this insane physical transformation can happen over the next kind of preceding bunch of months and year, so to speak, because they change this, and it has such a knock-on effect to lots of different things. Do you see that, mate? Have you seen that with a lot of your clients?
Yeah, like you said, just like before we went live, I think it's sometimes people just don't even think about it. When they think about they need to lose weight and shape up and make kind of better changes, they only start thinking about exercise and food. Sometimes alcohol doesn't even get a look in, because they just don't. They don't think they're kind of on par with each other. They don't even think about it. So I think usually it's when we speak to people and it's, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm doing all this exercise, I'm doing really well with my diet. Usually the follow-up question with us is, how does your weekends look? And it's always, oh, well, I'll maybe go out for dinner and we'll have a few glasses of wine, and then we'll go home, we'll have a bottle of wine, some vodka. It just kind of snowballs. So
yeah,
I think like I say, some people just don't even think about alcohol as stopping them from losing weight or getting in better shape. They usually only think about food and exercise.
Yeah, 100%. And it's often that way of thinking can be like, you know, because and alcohol can be a problem in so many different forms. And even though, like, I only drink probably 3 or 4 times a year tops, right? And I consider myself to have an alcohol problem. I'll touch on that a wee bit later, and why I see my relationship with alcohol to be a problem. But like I said, it comes in many different forms. And when something's been normal for someone for so long, and often that can result in influence from their upbringing, what they've seen with their parents. It's just like, it's not like out of the ordinary. It's not a problem because it's just normal, right? We don't
It's weird
take a
if
step back and think of that.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, mate?
It'd be strange if they didn't drink because it's just so normal.
It would feel like there's a gap and something's missing. And I see this is an obstacle in a lot of clients, ranging from somebody who maybe doesn't drink through the week, they'll work really hard through the week, but then the weekend can be like a bit of a binge, and then there's that kind of repeating behaviour cycle. And then there's also someone who is just used to having a couple of glasses of wine with dinner, or a couple of beers with dinner after work to help them kind of wind down, de-stress, etc. And then there's people who, I was speaking to a guy recently who was telling me that he drinks every night, and he's reduced his alcohol consumption because he started coaching with us, etc. And he's now starting to think about being healthier. But he was very aware that this is an issue for him, because it's his coping mechanism for stress. It's a very stressful day at work, long working day, hardly any time for himself. As soon as he comes home from work, it's like, a couple of hours left in the evening, and we get kids to deal with, etc., to go to bed, wake up for work the next day, and sometimes it's like a bit of an escape, which can work really well. It can be a really good day for that. Yeah, but it's also contributing to bigger problems. And listen, I've helped a lot of people with these habits, alcohol habits. It doesn't always mean alcoholic, but an alcohol habit when something probably feels like it's too difficult to remove on a frequent basis. I would say that's an alcohol habit. And we'll manage to make progress. It doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't work on yourself, like build exercise into your life, build good nutrition into your life, eat better, try and get better sleep, and work on those things. You'll definitely make progress. But quite often where the problem becomes is that it's the goals they set out to achieve, and the goals they're telling me they want, and they won't seem to progress much further after like initial progress, and I have to say, look, like, this is something that has to be at least spoken about and addressed. I'm not sure you're going to see much more change from here physically unless you start to address this. And that doesn't always mean eliminate it out of your life. But, I've spoken to people who have, when I've said, well, how much do you drink? And they'll say, not really that much, maybe just, a few cans every night after work. Then I'll share a bottle of wine with the missus at the weekend, etc. And I'm like, okay, like, do you know how much roughly, like how many cans in a week if you add it up? And then it will say, maybe about 30, something like that. I'm like, dude, that's a lot of alcohol. That is a lot. That is like probably more than, that could potentially be 50% or more of the calories you're consuming in a week from alcohol, which are all empty calories and not bringing any nutrients whatsoever. Right. And that's going to keep you stuck, man. It can be a massive, massive challenge. And personal experience, this was something that was a big challenge for me growing up, because I wouldn't go as far as saying my dad was an alcoholic, but he was a recreational drinker for sure. Right. And he liked his beer, doesn't drink anymore now because he's had like a big health scare, and that's been enough for him to go, right, I'm not drinking anymore. But as long as I can remember being a child, my dad always drank. So that was normal for me. And then joining the army, alcohol is a cultural thing in the army. If we're not working, we're on it. Like, and that became a kind of rut that I was stuck in for a long time. And I never, no matter how hard I worked out and stuff, my body didn't really improve. It just didn't change in the mirror. Like, I could increase the weights I lifted and all those kind of things, but like aesthetically, like nothing improved, even though I was always a skinny guy because I was so active. But I didn't tone up, I didn't lean up, I didn't look more defined or anything like that. Never ever worked out.
See when obviously I wasn't in the army, but Paul was. But see when, if we're ever looking at like photos or some Facebook memories pop up and it's like Paul's army photos, you can see when he first joined, he was super skinny kid. And then as the years went on, you can see him start to kind of bulk up a wee bit, and he's got the kind of beefcake face. And I can remember Paul, obviously when he was in the army, just every time he would be on leave, just drinking every time. It was just a normal thing, obviously, but
I drank during the day on leave. Like I would hit the Southern Comfort and stuff like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Most days.
Yeah, I don't really have that experience. Mine has always been just weekend drinking, but enough to make me see no progress whatsoever when I was obviously trying to make progress. So yeah, different kind of experiences, but yeah, mine is. I've had my fair share of.
Paul's watching. You see him commenting? All day, brother. All day, every day.
I mean, I remember when Paul was in the army, he'd maybe come back and we would like obviously drink together as well sometimes. But he could put it away. Like it's like there's no limit. I don't know how, but it's quite
just the way it was with the military. Right. And here's some of the things that we need to consider when it comes to alcohol and body composition, right? So what I mean by that, the effects that it has on how your body looks aesthetically, and some of the reasons why it's so challenging for anyone to get in shape with an alcohol habit. And first and foremost, it's calories, right? Empty calories. Alcohol, it isn't actually alcohol that's the toxic product itself. It's a compound within alcohol, and it's called ethanol. Is that right, Peter? It's ethanol. And ethanol comes from fermented high carbohydrate type plants. So things like wheat, barley, fruits, maybe potatoes and stuff like that as well. And that's the toxic product that is created, and they make alcohol with that. Now, ethanol is a non-essential nutrient. And basically what that means, it doesn't bring any value to the table. Like it doesn't bring any good nutritional value. It doesn't promote health in any way, shape or form, but it has 7 calories per gram, right? Now, if we look at the other fuel sources, right, which are protein, if you can see my hand, protein, fat, carbohydrates, those are the 3 main macronutrients. These come in protein and carbs. I'm starting to forget that. It's 4 calories per gram, and fats is 9. That's right. Now, so alcohol is almost as much as fats, and it brings 0 essential nutrients, right? So, and it's a very fast, accessible fuel source for the body to use, where these other nutrients the body has to break down and do a bit of work before the fuel is accessible. So, alcohol doesn't necessarily stop your body burning fat per se. What it will do is put the processing of these other fuel sources on hold, and it's going to use up the alcohol as a priority and get rid of that. And then there's some other issues which we'll maybe touch on in a wee second, but just to try and help you understand the simple process of what's going on there. So if you're taking, and by the way, a heavy drinker is classed as 10% or more of your total weekly calories coming from alcohol, right? Which is easy to do.
Yeah, that's very easy to do.
It's easy to do. That you're not classed as a moderate drinker, you're classed as a heavy drinker. And heavy drinking is moderate to heavy is where a lot of serious health issues are kind of more likely to happen.
I'm guessing that would have to be on a consistent basis rather than just
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I do think that having like the one-off binges has its own detrimental effects to your health, and who knows, probably maybe some sort of long-term damage on the brain, because there's probably only so much that it can take. And that's where I feel like I've got an alcohol problem, because when I go out and drink, it's like, the old military habits die hard, and I lose control. I often get to the point where I don't know what I'm doing, and I'll just keep drinking until my body stops. It just caves in, and that's never good. Waking up the next day and you're like, oh shit, what's happened? what's happened? Where am I? Who am I?
I'm the same. That's the way that's my style of drinking.
So when this is happening, be it on small doses on a frequent daily basis or large binge doses on a weekend basis, it becomes easy for your body to gain weight, because you are consuming more calories than what your body needs. and a large percent on top of the food that you eat, and a large percentage of those calories are absolutely useless. Not only useless, but they're causing health detrimental effects. And some of those detrimental effects are things like reducing your body's ability to process and absorb nutrients, because alcohol is all processed inside the liver, where a lot of vitamins and stuff are processed and then pumped out the body for delivery to the cells, and also amino acids uptake. Yeah, so and essentially it can make you malnourished, even if you are eating a lot. But it does become difficult to eat enough nutrients, and I've witnessed this. So this is stuff that I've learned from literature and reading studies, and also things that I have witnessed behavioural wise through working with clients who have a lot of alcohol in their life and their weekly routines. Often struggle to eat enough protein, often struggle to eat enough foods because large amounts of alcohol, and these studies are mostly done within alcoholics, but it's an example as your alcohol intake increases, the more this effect starts to happen. It also increases leptin, which is an appetite suppressant, right? It's a hormone, it's an appetite suppressant, and then that's going to make it difficult for you to want to eat. And that highly increased leptin also is pro-inflammatory inside the body, which can cause other issues, which I'm not going to dive into because all that is kind of above my wheelhouse and probably won't be able to explain it that well. Confuse myself sometimes reading all these studies and things. So we'll leave that there. It's not just a calorie problem. It's also messing with your body's ability to take on enough nutrients, absorb the nutrients that you are taking on, which then leads to muscle loss as well. I see that quite often because a lot of people can have a lot of alcohol in their life and not necessarily gain weight at a fast rate, and often they can work hard and manage to maintain weight, but their body composition doesn't improve. Or sometimes when they look at it just as a calorie issue, so they'll reduce food intake and so they can leave room for the alcohol. Then they'll start to lose a lot more muscle and gain body fat, even though the weight stays the same. So they'll look worse and also feel worse and perform worse. So there's a science lesson for the day. We're not going to go any further into that.
That's good, because that's about as far as I can go.
Yeah, same. So listen, in terms of alcohol-related behaviours, Peter, and some of your clients, is there anything else that you have experienced personally or experienced with clients as a side effect of alcohol? Because we've just spoken about like some of the issues directly related to alcohol itself, but then there's going to be knock-on behaviours and stuff that's going to ripple effect for days afterwards. Mate.
To be honest, I think the behaviour change that can occur after drinking alcohol or during drinking alcohol is actually worse than just the alcohol itself. So you're talking, obviously you're taking in excess amounts of calories via alcohol itself. But let's say, for example, you're on a weight loss phase. You're in a weight loss phase. You're trying to get to a certain weight by a certain period of time. Not only are you taking in way more calories via alcohol, but your eating habits start to change. Your mental side starts to take a dip because you don't really, as soon as you've had a few drinks, you're a bit tipsy. Don't really care about habits, healthy eating, getting your protein in. You just don't care. You end up going for a 3 a.m. kebab and chips. The next day, you're hungover. That's where a lot of the problems lie as well. You're just lying in bed all day. You're not very active. You're not moving. You're still, you probably get to a point in the day when you're hungover when you're not being sick and you're actually starting to get a bit hungry, and then you phone a takeaway or you go to McDonald's or something. Like all those behaviours that come from alcohol, they add up. And they add up to excess and thousands of calories in excess on your weekly total.
Is that personal experience, Pete?
Personal experience, and definitely with clients as well. So from personal experience, if I'm going out drinking, let's say I'm going out drinking on Saturday, I'm not going to be feeling like tip top until at least a week later. I don't know if it's just the way I drink personally. I'm kind of similar to you. If I'm drinking, I'm going for it. I'm not just having 2 pints. I'm drinking all day and I'm drinking all night. And that's going to have a big knock-on effect on my diet, my training, my productivity, pretty much everything in life. I'm out of the game for at least a week. I might do bits and bobs here and there, but I'm never like fully 100% for at least a week after a heavy night of drinking.
Yeah,
and it doesn't feel good.
no, it doesn't feel good. And mate, to be honest, on a personal level, that has impacted like a lot of the changes that I'd made. I mean, if I would say I first started making the changes with alcohol, my kids were calling me grumpy dad. My son still has a memory of me lying flat down on the floor, like drunk after a night out once in my mum and dad's house. He talks about it like, remember that time, Dad? And I'm like, oh, yeah, trying to forget it, behaving like that in front of my children. It's not setting a good example, because I know that some of my addiction problems stem from influence, and that being normal. So, but I'm glad I've made some changes now. And they used to call me grumpy dad, because like I would always be hungover, and then I would fix that hangover with fast foods that were just making my health and body composition problems worse, which made me feel worse about myself. So even when I wasn't hungover, I was often pissed off and grumpy, and that had impacts on the time that I was spending with them as well. Because well, when I was supposed to be spending time with them, often I was hungover, moody, grumpy, and that's not the dad that I wanted to be. So a lot of my motive for changing my alcohol habits stemmed from that. And here's another thing: it's like the impact that it has on sleep as well. So sleep deprivation has its own issues in relation to body composition. My clients talk about it all the time as well, because sleep is one of the habits that we work on to begin with. And it's like they start getting better sleep, and then when something happens and they maybe have a late night, they'll notice a difference in how they feel. It's like general, much less will to want to train, not enjoying workouts, just this is fucking something I need to do. Less effort into it. Much stronger urge to sit on the couch and just watch Netflix and then repeat that cycle of behavior. Just wanting to eat crap, and this is all the bigger impacts of alcohol as well, because nobody really often as much drinks alcohol in the morning, unless there's a real issue going on, and then or in the afternoon.
I think that's way out of
late at night. What's that, mate?
That's way out of our scope if I've got a client doing that.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there comes all the issues of sleep deprivation as well, especially like if that happens in the weekend. How fucking hard is Monday? Do you know what I mean? If that's a regular occurrence,
it's brutal. I think that, again, with personal experience, because I'm not in like your regular 9-to-5 job, I don't have that pressure to get up and go to work hungover. I can just hit snooze and skip training, and I don't need to get up and make a nice healthy breakfast or whatever. I don't have the time pressure as such. Let's say I've got a project coming up, or we've got a new program starting. If I'm hungover on Monday, I can just put that off and off and off and off until I really do need to get it done, like within a day or two. So my productivity just goes way down to zero as soon as I've had like a day or night of drinking, and that has a massive effect on, obviously not just me as well, but Paul, because he's the other half of the business. So he's obviously going to be relying on me to do certain things, and if I'm hungover, then I am definitely not doing those things when I should be doing them. But it's, to be fair, with alcohol, with me, it's mostly a productivity thing just now, rather than like achieving my body goal or whatever. It's more of a productivity thing. But in the past, when I was at my heaviest weight, I would say I was probably drinking every weekend, like binge drinking every weekend, every night out, every weekend out with my pals. just getting absolutely hammered, takeaways afterwards, hangovers. And that led to me being 112 kilos is the last time I seen my weight at that heaviest.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a good look.
And if you think about it, like you take away those binge drinking at the weekend and all those associated like preceding behaviours with the lack of sleep, the food choices, the days afterwards, the lack of training, the lack of recovery from training. It's like because of all those things as well, it's like it just makes like a transformation of your physical health and aesthetics happen. And that's why I say this is often the one thing, that elephant in the room, that if we address this and fix it, so many other things that fall into place.
Yeah. For
sure. Having said that, though, it is easier said than done, especially when you've been in that routine and that rut for such a long time.
Yeah, definitely.
And do you know something? Because we were talking about this today, I was reading up some stuff and reading some studies and things like that, and I came across some literature that states amongst alcoholics, suicide is something like 50 to 70% much more likely to happen than it is general population who aren't as large alcohol consumers, which could be which could potentially obviously be related to the fact that alcohol is a depressant and the effects it has on your mood and how you feel. And when I was reading the same literature, I also came across another piece of research that said a study that was done between 19 and 30-year-olds. This was in the States. This was in the US. 45% of men reported having heavy drinking behaviours within the recent 2 weeks, and only 27% of women. So it was established that males in general are more likely to be heavier drinkers than females, and it also, if we look at suicide rates in general, that's not to leave females out of the equation and that it's an issue for them, but it does seem to be a bigger issue amongst men. Now, that's probably not directly linked to the alcohol. I would say that that maybe potentially highlights that some of the reasons that alcohol was being used, whether it's to deal with stress and escape from a fucking hard life, and then that obviously has its knock-on effects and stuff, which is interesting. It's interesting to read about that and link some of those kind of connections together. Makes you think.
It's not. I've never obviously looked into it or researched it, but it does make sense. It's just logical.
Makes you think. And also me personally, because I've had my struggles with mental health and probably at their highest when I left the army, and I was struggling with that transition. And it was also a time where I was hitting a lot of alcohol every single weekend, and that, not that that was creating my problems, but it certainly made my mental state and my perception on life and my ability to progress and get myself on my feet and create a new life for myself a hell of a lot more difficult, for sure. And when I kicked that, I started making more progress and finding my feet more, for sure. So
I don't have any personal experience with using alcohol as a stress reliever, but I can see how a lot of people do that and can do that, and how that can snowball into obviously a bigger problem. But I don't have any personal experience with that, I'm afraid.
And like I was saying, obviously a lot of people are probably aware of some of these things, and hopefully we've touched on some things that's enlightened any of you guys who are listening or tuning in. But we're also aware that it's easier said than done just to start making changes. So what I think would be great for us to talk about just now, Peter, is maybe some ideas, some back and forth on some potential strategies and steps to take if somebody is listening and wants to start reducing their alcohol intake, not just to get in better shape, but just to make a bit more progress in life and start feeling better and be more productive and talking about and achieving all these benefits, improving their health in general.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that I think it's probably best coming from personal experience, what we have both done to change our alcohol habits, because those are the things we can best share advice with. What are some of the things that work for you, mate?
Honestly, just cutting out, just not drinking. I think it's different for me now, but 6, 7 years ago, I would be drinking every weekend, just out with my mates, drinking. It was just what we did. That's just, I mean, I was a bit younger. I was 20, 21, 22, around about there. So I was kind of in my younger days, just binge drinking every weekend. And I never seen it as a problem or anything like that. I knew it wasn't good for me, stuff like that. But when I started trying to get in better shape, start to lose some weight, then I started to realise how big of an impact it had. So I just cut it out completely. Well, not completely. I would have the odd weekend or the odd night out every few months or whatever, but I would usually just not drink. I would just stop it.
What did you do instead? Because I think that's quite a key thing, because if I think back to when I was younger, and I would have these on like in a stop start on off the wagon with fitness, even though like I was always doing army fitness, but I'm talking about like going to the gym, trying to get some muscle on, trying to get in shape. I would go in the healthy eating wagon. I would have this spell, and then it's like, because I was on a Friday and Saturday night when all my mates were out drinking and texting me and like, "Oh, you coming out?" and stuff like that, and I'm just like sitting in front of the TV, trying to ignore the phone, watching programs and stuff like that. I was just watching videos with my Friday and Saturday nights. Like, I always ended up tipping, and when I tipped after like a few weeks straight of not drinking at all, I would often, then that kind of cycle kicks back in, and what's the point? I'll just eat what I want type thing. Yeah. Does that relatable to you? Does having something else to focus on help you break those habits?
Yeah, kind of similar. I think I went through a period of, I would probably be teetotal for a few weeks, month, maybe 2, and then I'd have a blip. I'd fall back off the wagon. I'd drink for a couple of weekends in a row, and then I'd just get my head straight again. I'd try and cut it out again, go for as long as I could without drinking. I think I maybe just replaced it with like just doing other shit, like just going out for dinner at the weekend instead of going bevying, having a movie night or something instead. There wasn't really anything major, like no big events or anything like that I would do.
Yeah.
I would try and just willpower it through, but as we know, that doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't always. And I think that for me, some of the things that's really helped me, and I'm at a place where I actually don't want to drink. Do you know that's important? That's probably a big difference from between now and say maybe, back in 2014, 2013 when weekend drinking was heavy and regular. Now and then I don't want to drink anymore. But some of the things that have helped me get to this position where I don't feel the need that I want to drink is one, having like a really good, strong why. So what was the real reason they wanted to drink here? That started with my kids, and some of the comments that they were making. And then it also made me think about some of the other things that I'm going to be able to make progress in life with if I take that away. Thinking about all the knock-on effects that we've just spoken about after a weekend boozing and stuff, which was my business. Not just doing work on my business and growing my coaching practice, but setting the standards for my clients. That's pretty huge for me, setting the standards for my clients. And I know majority of people listening to this are not coaches and they're people who are just looking to improve their health. But like, who could you possibly be setting the standards for here? If you have children, if you have nieces, nephews, other people in your close proximity that you want to set good examples and hopefully pass on some of that influence, then can we think about those? And here's a great exercise, and I got this from the Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week. But you can implement this to absolutely everything, because sometimes when we'll just get things in our head and we don't stop to kind of like exercise these thoughts or these ideas, they can just stay there, and we just stay in our routines and in our patterns. So we need a bit of a kind of pattern interrupt. And something that can really help is listen down all the pros, listen down all the cons, or like what's the worst that could happen if I quit doing this behavior, if I sacked off this part of my life, etc., etc. And then actually looking at them, because when you have them, like it's a physical, it's a physical decision. It's based on information. You can make an informed decision. Now it's out of your head, it's on paper. What's all the benefits here? And sometimes you can look at that and go, do you know something, like all these pros are so much more powerful than all these cons. And how long have I been doing this? How long have I been in this kind of circle of behavior patterns, and where has it gotten me? More importantly, where is it taking me? What direction is this taking me here as I'm aging and getting older? Is this what I want? I was I don't know if you've seen Peter. I was talking to like an old mate of mine. Had him on the live show last week on Friday there, Parksy. Right. He's in fantastic shape. He's only 34, but he's a dad of 3 kids, works shifts full time and all that kind of stuff. And he was in the army as well, and he was talking about for the first 4 years of his army career, like he was just drinking all the time, like every weekend. And he came to a point where he's like, my body probably can't keep doing this, and do I even want to do this? And he actually weighed up a lot of the pros and cons for this, and made the decision to start changing that and working on himself. And honestly, guy's in ridiculous shape. Super jealous, man. Wish I had half his physique, man. It's insane. But it just shows you like the power of kind of having that bit of a pattern interrupt and weighing these things up, rather than just, otherwise you can just keep your head down and just stay stuck in this routine. People often hear the term, I'm stuck in a rut. Well, you have to be able to take a step back and observe this rut and just get clear on some things, and doing something like that and writing all these down, I think can be the start of that first domino in the line.
People say I'm stuck in a rut and then continue to do the same things. It's keeping them in a rut. They don't change anything.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like you said, having other things to do, definitely having a bit of a plan at weekends, rather than just letting the weekend come and seeing if you can just rely on discipline. So a plan, like here's some practical stuff. Like if you keep alcohol in the house and that's a red light substance for you, hey, fucking get that stuff out of your kitchen. Do you know what I mean? Like I've got a pile of alcohol in my kitchen from gin from the Isle of Malta. It's great stuff, by the way. And but I only need one glass. Like if I ever feel the need, like I want to have a bit of a dunt on a Saturday night, like I can have one glass of that, and that, like and that's me. And that's enough for me. Like I'm now at the stage where I'm not too comfortable feeling that tips away. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know if I want more of that. Like Frank the Tank might come out soon. So for me, that's totally fine. That's a green light stuff. Like I can have one of them and just leave it every month. Like
I'm the same. I'm not like I say, I'm not a sociable drinker. I don't just sit and have a drink in the house or whatever, or I don't go out for one pint. I could have a case of beer in the cupboard or a bottle of vodka in the cupboard, and I wouldn't even be tempted to have a drink. That's just not how I operate. I'm either steaming drunk or I'm sober. So I don't have that. It's different. I don't have that temptation if there's beers in the fridge or whatever. I just don't have it. But if you are that kind of way inclined and that's how you operate your life, you like to have a wee drink in the evening, then it's probably best you don't stock up on them and you don't keep them in the house.
You want to make that stuff inconvenient. That doesn't mean to say here like you need to quit this stuff if that's too hard for you. And we take the same approach with food. We have that kind of that traffic light system. Kitchen makeover. The stuff that's red light for you that doesn't make you feel good, keeps you stuck in that rut, you're going to overconsume. Listen, don't stock up on those things in your kitchen. Doesn't mean to say don't eat them or don't consume them. If you're going out for a family meal or something like that, sure, use those opportunities to enjoy those things. But it's gonna, if you make these things inconvenient, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to start making those changes and seeing that progress in your life for sure. And we were just talking about, I mentioned that one of the things that I feel I've got an alcohol problem and I would like to improve is that all or nothing with it when I go on a night out with the lads. Environment matters as well. Like some of my best mates that I grew up with, they're still like hardcore with a drink. They drink often. And when I say often, like most weekends, they'll usually find like easy excuses to drink, like the footballs or something like that. And that's them, man. They can go for like at least 24 hours. If I go drinking with them, I'm, even though I'm a very disciplined guy, like I'm likely to do the same shit and try and keep up with them. Do you know what I mean? And I'm likely to have my following week be an absolute disaster. So if I do want to drink, like I've been trying to for a while arrange a catch up and a pint with yourself and Paul, because I know that you two are on the same wavelength as me of not wanting to be drinkers anymore, not wanting to get absolutely wasted. So I'm thinking, I want something I want to get better at is being able to have a drink or two, have a good crack, and then go home. Like that's something that I actually have that ambition to do, and it's difficult.
Don't work your arse out.
And your environment is going to either make that difficult for you or make that easier. Whether you're drinking with people who support that behavior or people who are going to, derail that behavior. And that's not to say that those are bad people. This is about working on you and the stuff that's important to you and the things that you want to change. Because I'll still go and drink and have a catch up with my mates sometimes because they make me feel good, they're funny and all that. But I'm just not going to do it that often because I know it's messy. So something I want to do is catch up with you and Paul and have a pint pretty soon now that everything's starting to get back to normal, and maybe I can start practicing that and getting better at having a pint or two and not blowing it out the water.
That's one thing we have never done. We have never had a drink together.
No.
It's been coffee.
Famous last words.
I know. Coffee and scones.
Yeah, Jamie, I hope you're good, man. Thanks, mate. I appreciate you tuning in. Hope things are well with you, brother. Yeah, so being healthy with alcohol, I think there's definitely an approach that we can take that can allow us to achieve our body goals and at the very least make progress with our body and our health and our fitness goals and have alcohol in our life at the same time. But I think we need to take that approach of first and foremost, assess like what is your actual relationship with alcohol? And believe me, like we all tell ourselves lies. It's human nature. We're all good at it. We all underreport and stuff as really look at this. And here's the thing to do: try tracking your alcohol intake. Okay. I did this with a client of mine who previously, and I knew his alcohol was it was a problem, and I knew that he didn't realize that how much it was holding him back, and I had to help him see. And I couldn't tell him because people will often it's against human nature. They'll be like, I don't think it's that. It's holding me back that much. You know what I mean? We don't want to give up our habits and our comforts and stuff like that. We don't want to we want to trash talk them or anything, you know what I mean? So I asked him to track his alcohol, and we did it by units. Because units was something he was familiar with. And at the end of the week, he came back to me. And I can't remember what the numbers were because this was years ago. He's like, I was actually really surprised that, like, I'm actually consuming more than double what I thought I was going, because he told me, I'm consuming X amount of units a week. And he came back and it turned out it was more than double. He's like, but to be fair, this weekend did have this happen and that. And I'm like, listen, Stuart, I'm like, mate, how many weekends is that going to happen that you're not aware of? And he'd like, right, fair enough. You know what I mean? And because of that, he was able to then take a bird's eye view and really start to recognize where it was holding him back. You know what I mean? Tracking be a really helpful thing. Definitely.
Even if it's not the units you're tracking, if you're, let's say, our clients do a lot of calorie counting, so even if they did it via MyFitnessPal or whatever, and to see the amount of calories that can add up in a bottle of wine and a couple of vodkas or whatever, It's surprising because it goes down easily, and you don't even realise you've had 1,000 calories on alcohol.
Yeah, and listen, but back in the day, like when weekend drinking was a big deal for me, I don't think it would have been possible for me to track because there was just so much.
Yeah, and then you get to the point where you forget.
And even still, I didn't think alcohol was an issue for me,
Aye.
like in terms of my physique, because
Yeah.
I'm obviously the training tactics, it's the food. I'm not getting the nutrition right or something like that. But if you just take that away, like so much started to improve.
It's massive, aye.
Peter, do you have anything to share in terms of like having a healthy relationship with alcohol, and if you believe it's possible, what does that potentially look like?
Do you know, I think it depends on your kind of overall goal. If you're just trying to get in a bit better shape, you don't have like stones of fat to lose, you can probably include it and be pretty healthy. But it's basically the same with everything with food as well. If you're just absolutely taking the piss and just chucking down pints every weekend and bottles of wine, you know it's not going to be good for you, for your health, for your body composition, for your productivity, for your sleep, for your eating behaviours. I feel like you don't have to be on or off alcohol. You don't have to not be drinking alcohol. I think you just have to really limit it depending on your goals. So if you're in a fat loss phase, it's not going to help you in the slightest. Drinking every weekend is just going to be detrimental to your goals. So it might be worth going through a period of not drinking, or maybe limiting yourself to a pint at the weekend with your dinner or something like that, or a glass of wine with your dinner. So yeah, I think it just really depends on your goals and what you're actually looking to achieve.
I love that. See, when you said like that period of not drinking, sometimes that can be really useful, like just giving yourself a short-term challenge. Because with changing anything that's a habit, sometimes it's a confidence and a belief issue that you're able to change that. But sometimes we can have a little confidence and enough motivation to challenge ourselves for, like, say, 2 weeks.
You know, you see people do it. You see people do it all the time.
With the sober October thing and stuff like that.
All that stuff. They can do it for 30 days, 28 days, whatever it is. People definitely do it. But then if you're only doing it for 28 days and then you're drinking 12 pints every weekend for the rest of the year, it doesn't really balance out. So I think you need to do a bit more, limit it a bit more throughout the rest of the year rather than just doing a month kind of sober.
Yeah. 100%, because a lot of people do the sober October thing and then they'll just go straight back to it. So if you are going to do a challenge like that, even if you just got to challenge yourself for 2 weeks, okay, 2 weeks no booze, just to see if I can do this, then it's like, okay, I know that I have the ability to go on without alcohol. Do you know what I mean? For at least some sort of time. So from there, like, just building on that, that doesn't need to be like elimination entirely, unless you felt up for that. That would be obviously fantastic. That would be ideal. But like, can I now reduce this and really work on this goal and start to see this progress from there? And thinking beyond the end of the challenge. Sometimes we can challenge ourselves with things and create like a finish line.
I think it would work well as well for, let's say, a fat loss phase as well. If you wanted to just hit it hard for a month or 4 weeks or whatever, if you just didn't drink alcohol for that period, that's going to make that a lot easier. You're going to see you'll see a faster rate of fat loss, and you'll also be able to do it a lot easier without drinking. So I think it can help, but then if you're just going back to your old habits straight away, it's probably not going to be worth it in the long run.
Yeah, you have to think long term with your changes as well, for sure. Some
form of moderation throughout the rest of the year. But again, it obviously depends on your goals. If you're just trying to be a bit healthier, just trying to be a bit fitter, there's no reason why you can't have a couple of pints at the weekend or and especially if it's more of a de-stressor, and it's going to kind of point you towards being less stressed throughout the week, then it might actually be more beneficial for you.
Yeah, and I was actually talking with my coach Simon about alcohol recently, because one of his hobbies, like one of the things that he just, I wouldn't say hobby, but I have a drinking hobby. One of his
it's not a problem.
one of his favourite things to do is to sit in a pub and have a pint. Like, it's therapeutic, de-stressing, absolutely, really loves it. But I think he said he can't remember the last time he's actually been drunk. Like, he doesn't drink to the point of being drunk. He might start to feel that. He'll maybe just have a pint, and that pint will last him a while, and he'll just sit and enjoy that pint. I don't know how often he does that. I'm sure it's not every night. He's a productive guy. Hence why he's my coach. But, and that was quite inspiring for me as well. So I'm like, I'd love to be able to do that. Have a pint, and cider's my pint of choice, not beer, and just enjoy that, and then go home after an hour or two, and be able to have a good next day.
I not feel like you've had anything to drink, just be a normal day afterwards.
And I just have a normal day afterwards, and train if I need to train, have a great day with my kids, get my coaching work done productively and stuff like that, and not actually be a hindrance on my efficiency in my everyday life. Sweet. Okay, I'm all out here. Peter, do you have anything else you want to add at all before we finish up?
Nah, I'm pretty good.
Sweet, happy days. This has been a good one, Peter. Thanks very much for coming and joining us. I'm sure we'll have you back on again soon. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that we're putting out some good, useful content for you. I see some of you commenting in the comment section already. So listen, if you got something from this, if you found it helpful, please post a comment below. And by the way, if you have any personal experiences of kicking some alcohol habits like myself and Peter has, and lots of our clients have, and seeing some progress and reasons to keep progressing, please share. Drop them in the comments as well. But this is all we have today. Have a good week. Thank you very much for coming on again, Peter.
Peace.
Adios.